Yes, yes, yes. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, boys and girls, and everybody in between. We are live, kids. We are fucking live. We are live and direct, as they used to say. We're going to talk about some shit today, guys. Today's show is inspired by a conversation I was in recently. A conversation, quite honestly, that I have never personally experienced, but it's real. So we're gonna rake some theories over the coals, kind of thing. We're gonna talk about some shit. And, yeah, fun as always. And as you can plainly hear, always music. Always accompanied by music on the show. I was an idiot a second ago. Man, I was trying to find tunes for today. And I got, like different file types. MP4, WAV, MP3, blah, blah, blah. I got one, and it was the MP4, so I know it's the video of what I got. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes. Still plays, but I mean, fuck. Before we go anywhere, we have... Where is it? If you are unaware, there is a CD... or there is a CD compilation, CD series out. Hard House Producer Collection. This is at a Tidy Tracks. The latest installment for this is our girl Amber D. Amber D in Wonderland. Hard House Producer Collection, USB and CD. What's the link? See what the link is. Oh, let me get a proper fucking link. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Where are we going? Where to get this shit? You're gonna go to Tidy Tracks, TIDYTRAX .fanlink FANLINK .TO /Amber D in Wonderland. That'll get you all the bells and whistles. Like I said, CD and USB. Whole bunch of goodies included on this. The CD is about 20 pounds, and the USB is slightly north of that. It's about half, right? Or double, rather. So bear that in mind upon ordering. Available now at the link I just mentioned. And buyer beware. If you are ordering from outside England, yes, you can use that link, but keep in mind that the base price and the total that you will receive upon checkout, right? Because if something is $10 in Canada, for instance, I don't know what it would be in the States. If something is $10 here, it's $5 in the UK, right? So bear that translation in mind. If you are ordering either one of these across the Atlantic, it's not the price, it's the problem, kids. It's the shipping. The shipping is always a cunt. But regardless, yeah, it's out there. It's about, what is it? It's about $50 Canadian to get it across the Atlantic, CD. And it'll run you about 80 and change Canadian to get the USB stick across the Atlantic as well. So, yeah, it's out there. I'm just giving you information, guys. USB and CD available for... once again, Hard House Producers Collection, Amber D in Wonderland. Come on. Go. But yeah, we're going to, going back to the lecture at hand. Do want to talk about some stuff today. And I did this before, but... Oh. Fuck you. I fucking hear myself here. I had sound issues, right? So I went for 2 hours, and I sounded like I was way down here. But anyway, got that sorted, and so we're gonna try again. And I have some more ideas to go over with this, and what we're talking about today is... Let me do something about this. How do I get rid of you? Whatever. Oh, visual. Get down. Remember that track? Get down. Get your feet back on the ground. Get down. Anyway. Yeah, it's what we're diving into today, guys, is having, or not so much having, but if you are someone who is looking for potentially a partner in the LGBTQ community, might not seem like a big fucking deal, but if you are in the queer community and you happen to suffer from any sort of mental deficit, right? A mental health issue of whatever description, something that I take for granted, or the next person, might mean the end of the world for someone else, right? And that's not a fucking bad thing. I'm just saying that there's a divide. And it's important to keep in mind, because you never know who you're going to meet, right? So yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking about this over the last few days, and what I wanted to do with this being attempt number 2, because ideas hit you, you know. Thoughts hit you, and that's exactly what's happened. When I went through this the first time, the ideas that I'm going to go through now didn't even cross my mind. I did an episode not too long ago about a documentary called P.S. Burn This Letter, Please. And what P.S. Burn This Letter was a documentary based on the queer community, specifically drag, specifically the drag community in New York in the 50s, right? And it was a collection of letters it was a collection of letters written between, I guess, the West and the East Coast of the U.S., and you can get a feel for it because of where the person the letters were coming from and who they were to, right? So there's a bit of a there was a personal connection between the author and the recipient. But anyway, yeah, these letters were written. And yeah, it was about daily life with these people back in a time when being of the LGBTQ2SIA community and the latter portion of that didn't exist back then. Fuck, virtually none of it. The acronym didn't exist in its entirety for all intent and purpose. Which bleeds kind of into what we're going to go into today. Meaning that, given that Burn This Letter was set in the 50s, or, you know, before 1960 for sure, but I think it was the 50s. We're talking about a time when being in this community, when push came to shove, it was a felony. Right? It was a fucking death sentence. And that's just then. But to tie it off for you for a second, in those times, and this predates Stonewall by a long stretch, so we're not even talking about Stonewall or Compton's, which predates Stonewall as well. It's important. It's an important takeaway from P.S. Burn This Letter that, yes, these were drag queens, but they do dip into trans culture a bit. And what's important to mention is the fact that the trans community in those days weren't referred to as trans or gender variant or any of the buzzwords today, right? They were they were the streetwalkers, right? Which is funny because you had the drag queens, the performers in the clubs and whatnot, despite the fact that they were underground clubs run by the mob, and they weren't trans. They were just fucking drag performers. You had the trans fucking people regarded as whores and tramps out on the street, right? They were referred to. It was flipped, right? For some twisted reason that I can't wrap my head around. But your trans folks were the ones that were referred to as the drag queens. The drag performers were held on a higher pedestal, comparatively. Almost regal in nature, right? Or in, you know, so much reverence to these people, even though what they were doing wasn't above board morally. So anyway, yeah, neat little divide there, however unfortunate. Just wanted to make that distinction. Why do I make that distinction? So there's that, but we're going to go back even further still, because the queer community exists in any decade or any time period, doesn't matter what it is. But even before P.S. Burn This Letter, rewind still. Now, keeping with P.S. for a second, can you imagine processing that? You're trans or you're a drag queen, you know, to I'm not going to use the slang because that's too confusing. But yeah, you're a drag performer or you're trans or whatever, right? Given the vibe of the time, what a toll that has to take, you know? You know what I mean? And who's to say that the people, because I've seen Burn This Letter a couple times, And you could see in a couple of the people's faces that they spoke to, remembering the times, and in a few other cases, not with smiles on their faces. I mean, we're talking about a fucking time. I mean, I know we haven't gotten into the whole looking for a partner thing yet. We'll get there. We're talking about a time when the cops would show up at these venues and throw the girls in the back simply for being there. And that's the drag performers. I can't even imagine what they were doing to the brothers and sisters of the trans community on the street. Right? But okay, cool. That was the vibe, whether we like it or not. What if, like I said at the top, what if you are an individual who suffers from some fashion of a mental deficit? Right? What the fuck? How do you deal with that? Do you? It's fucking... You're pushing it down. Because what didn't happen back then? Nobody fucking talked about it. No, this wasn't common knowledge, folks. This was the rug. Sweep it. Get the fuck rid of it. Put it over there. Wild times. And I mean, you talk about pioneers, right? In the 80s and 60s, like I've talked about before. Important to remember, even though I've predated everything in modern history by 30 years by what I'm saying right now. Important to remember that no matter when throughout history, we are able to be who we are now because of all these events, right? I talk a lot about raver history and party history, this and that. Not a bad idea to know your queer history either. Come on. Just dig. That's all it takes is digging. If you want to know, the information is there for the taking. It's simple. So yeah, I don't know what happened if an individual were... I mean, let's take the illegality out of it for a moment and talk about the individual aspect. I don't know what modern medicine looked like for those times. Wasn't there. I came along 40 years after. Or 30 years after, rather. How did that all pan out? What went on? Despite the fact that I wasn't there and don't know how these things were handled, the illegality comes into play again. Immorality, body behavior, etc., etc. And we all, just through documentaries and such, know what the medical system looked like back then. Now, I don't know about the 50s and 60s, but let's go... and you probably weren't treated with the best. They did what they did with the knowledge they had. Let's put it that way. Now, let's come away from PS for a second. Let's back up even further. This is where it really gets sticky. This is really fucked up. Institutions back then were nothing short of organized torture, let's say. We're talking lobotomy, we're talking isolation, we're talking ice baths, electroshock, etc., etc. Strapping you to a bed. On and on. The list goes on, right? And between hospitals and mental institutions, asylums, right, as they used to call them, sliding scale, I would assume, maybe, as to what went on in those, like, in the hospitals and the institutions. Although you probably got the really fucking balls to the wall shit in the institutions. Two I can think of in modern history are, well, modern. Hello. How's it going, Frag? Got that issue sorted, huh? Sir is back online. So, one goes way back. One, at least over here, one institution was called Penhurst. And it was actually a focus location of a show called Ghost Hunters, I believe. And it was the subject... Oh, fuck. It was the subject of of a haunt location on that show. And I think, if my history is correct, they pegged Penhurst as not... how did they put it? I forget how they phrased it, but they said it was, if not one of the top places, one of the most haunted places in the U.S., or one of the most haunted hospitals in the U.S. I think it was probably one of the most for the medical field, right? So, like, nightmarish fucking behavior. This stuff would never, quote unquote, get past the censors today. Another one is Bellevue. Bellevue is in New York. If you're a little... If you need a little help in the catacombs of your mind, you probably... And I should say that Bellevue is the only institution in the state of New York that I know about. That's why I'm saying it. But regardless, like I said, rewinding back from the 50s and P.S. Burned this letter, what went on? So, 30s, 20s, and backwards, right? We are talking about a time in history when you could be put in a padded room to exaggerate a point for not eating your fucking vegetables. Right? We're talking about, like, I found a list one time of causes or events or behavior, rather, that would get you in the doors of these places. Absolutely fucking bonkers. You could find yourself in Penhurst for masturbating. Under a hysteria charge. Or not charge, but under that this was the language they used back then. It was a fucked up world. Could never wrap my head around it. So to hell with that. I mean, for what we're talking about, dating and so on and so forth in the queer community, can you even fathom the idea of putting yourself as a queer man or queer person or trans person in the 1920s or 30s? Well, if you had any sense of self-preservation, you didn't fucking talk about that. Motherfucker. Anywhere in that 20-year span, let's call it. And to hell with... And this is just how they treated the queers, the LGBTQ community. Can you fucking imagine how they treated people in the hetero community who had legit mental shortcomings? It was nothing short of torture, right? We've all seen the articles and the documentaries and such. I mean, you're nothing short of chained to a wall and thrown a pork chop twice a day or whatever, right? Unfucking fathomable to people like me and you. Unreal. Conversion... I forgot about conversion therapy. That went on for years. Forever. Forever and ever. I mean, hell. I'm laying this groundwork because... yes, medicine has advanced. And so too have mental health practices. Obviously. Like I said a second ago, the practices that were employed in these institutions, hospitals, asylums in the day would never get past the censors today. And I don't mean to make light of that, but you know what I mean. But to bounce back into modern day for a sec, and let's call, like I was talking about P.S. Burn This Letter a second ago, let's call, for the sake of argument, let's call the 50s and forward modern day. All right? Okay, so mentioned a second ago that you had the illegality aspect, the heavy illegality overtone of being a member of the queer community in those days. I don't even remember, I don't remember when the criminalization of being queer was lifted. I don't know. I don't know how long. I don't know how far into our chronology that goes. I just can't... yep, lost it. But regardless, I think if my history is correct, it bleeds as so far into our history as the fucking 80s. Yeah, because that's what gave birth to Stonewall. And I mentioned a second ago the illegalities of all this stuff, right, in the 50s from P.S. Burn This Letter. That was still fucking true during the 80s when Stonewall occurred. Just for your own shit. So, yeah, a lot to take in here.
How you guys doing so far?
A lot of different avenues to consider. And exactly, says Frag in the chat. Yeah. What a legend. Good on you for mentioning Mercury. Shout out to Freddie fucking Mercury. You know what? Good point, Frag. If you're gonna see this, if I ever get my head around uploading this shit to SoundCloud, Sir Frag in the chat mentions a gentleman by the name of Freddie Mercury. And anybody with a pulse should know who Freddie Mercury is. I mean, come on. Point being, a colorful life. And yes, it became common knowledge years later. But it fucking wasn't in them days. Yeah, fucking, like, I can't... Whether you're straight, whether you're queer, bi, I don't care. It is like, can you wrap your noggin around the fact that if you are queer anywhere on the scale, your life is illegal? Unfucking fathomable. Now, despite all that, because that's well-documented history, let's throw the wrench into the story. You're queer. And like everyone, you deserve somebody. Now, you might be shy. You might be a little bit of a quiet person. Or, for any number of reasons, socially awkward. You know, whatever. No casting judgment whatsoever. I am not casting judgment on anybody. But to hell with the fact for a second that you are of the queer community. And anybody gonna see this on the recording, if you are bothered by the fact that I'm saying the queer community, check your attitude at the door. So a partner. But if you happen to be a little deeper into a scarier mental place than the things I just mentioned, especially socially, but you just want to be like everyone else, and like I just said, we all deserve it. How the hell do you navigate that? What the fuck, right? If you are of the LGBT community, LGBTQ2SIA, and you happen to be an individual who can barely summon the energy in your head to get out of bed every day, How do you face the hurdles of finding a partner if you so choose? If you are an individual who, at the mere idea of going to the store to get a carton of milk, sends you into a convulsive state in your head, yeah, I'm no scientist, and I'm not trying to be here. That's not what I'm doing, guys. But if you have that issue going to buy milk, then that bleeds into every aspect of your life, obviously, including your intimate life. If you can't handle buying a carton of milk, then seeing, like say you're at the store and you see someone down the aisle or, wherever that you possibly fancy. Depending on who you are, because we're talking a scale here. Depending on who you are, you may or may not choose to engage with this individual. Might go great, might not. You might get told to fuck off. You might get said hello to. You can't write that. You can't write that, right? That applies to any of us. I mean, shit. At a base level, shyness exists as much as fucking white bread does. You know what I mean? But we do it, right? We fucking do it. If we want it badly enough. I've done it a million times. We all do it, folks. Name of the game here is the idea of crossing the store or the aisle to approach this individual. Maybe it's a hello or whatever, right? That's a skill, right? That's a social skill. Some of us can muster it easier than others. But I keep stressing, what if you aren't an individual who can muster that? You're going to sit there and you're going to browse the milk case, right, the dairy case, for 16 hours, and you're not even looking at the milk. All that's going through your head is, for as long as that person is over there, I want to, I can't. I want to, I can't. I want to, I can't. How the fuck do I do this? Do I do this? Sorry. I want to. Are they going to leave? How much longer are they going to be there? What are they buying? Do I buy that too? Do I get that kind of stuff? Where do they live? I like what they're wearing. Do they color their hair? How long are they going to be there? Why are they here? Do they like milk too? What are they buying? They're in the yogurt section, but they're looking down the aisle at the cheese. And the whole time you're standing in front of the milk case, not even looking at the milk. Unfortunately, it can be a missed opportunity. And as much as I can during this session, even though I don't know how long I'm going to go for, we're in for the haul, though, so far. And I will stress as much as I need to that I am not a trained psychologist. I am not a fucking doctor. I do not suffer from depression, trauma, right? PTSD, ADHD, something as low level as that. Not that ADHD and ADD are low level. You know what I'm trying to say. We're talking the big guns. PTSD, depression, etc., etc. I know people with PTSD, and it's debilitating. Anxiety, the big one now. So yeah, you can sit there for 16 hours looking at the milk and not seeing a goddamn thing. Person 16 feet away that you fancy. Off living their life. Gone, right? All of a sudden you're sitting there going, fuck. So you made it to the store. You made it to the store. But you see that individual and you froze. That's just the grocery store, kids. That's just the fucking grocery store. Take it out of a survival environment. Put it into in survival. I'm using big girl language for a carton of milk. Don't come for me. Take it out of a social setting, or take it out of that survival need setting. Put it in a social one. Could be something as innocuous as the street corner or the bus stop, right? It doesn't matter. Sitting there waiting for the bus. Easy example. Could be just you and another person there. Could be fucking 10 people there. Same situation. You see someone that you hang on, I'm sorry. Hang on, I gotta close my blind. Hang on. Oh, that worked well, didn't it? Kind of. I'm sorry, it's rush hour here in Toronto, and Yeah, it's dusk, like it's evening. And I've got the sun right here. Oi. Anyway. Yeah, the bus stop. Yeah, woohoo, the bus stop. Sitting there innocently enough, and just for fun, with your carton of milk. And you see somebody you fancy. All comes down to choice, doesn't it? First of all. The synapses are going off in your mind. Oh, 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 they're cute. They're cute. They're fucking pretty. They're whatever. Oh, who are they? Where are they going? I like their shoes. I like his hair. Those jeans are cute. You know, whatever goes through your mind. We are visual creatures. Do they get off at my stop? Holy fuck, what if they get off at my stop? Do I talk to them now? Do I talk to them on the bus? Do I shut my mouth? Do I let it ride? Do I keep to myself? Do I make eye contact? Do I even sit remotely within proximity of them on the bus? Do I get, even though I live 2 stops away, do I get off at theirs if it's before mine? And try to... and then sacrifice, you know, the walk after. I mean, hell, it's only 2 blocks. Moments, processes. If you're standing at the bus stop and you see that person and you do make the choice to strike up a conversation, gravy. Fucking gravy. Right? Doing a cartwheel home if reciprocated. Cool. Mission accomplished. But that's a step after you've gone through that alphabet of variables. And I mean, fuck me. Let's compare this for a second, if you will. Humor me. You're in this community. It takes balls of steel, pardon the phrase, to even come out and deal with the map navigation mentally that comes with. Whether you have a mental issue, a mental health issue rather, or not. That is a minefield. I did it. I fucking did it. Difference is, for all intent and purpose, I am arguably level-headed. And I don't mean to, and I'm not trying to sound rude when I say that, guys. I don't know what it's like to have these things go through my head is all I'm trying to convey, right? I don't know what it's like to be frozen in suspended animation at the idea of speaking to someone in a I like you, do you like me situation. It's stressful when you don't suffer from the conditions I mentioned a second ago. So much like coming out, nobody can or has the right to wrap their heads around how you could or should navigate these things. It's an impossibility in terms of the layman, right, or the lay person, to be PC. When I came out, I talked to fucking anybody who would listen, right, about shit that was going on in here. Luckily, my team of people were of pure enough heart that you know, they knew me enough. We're talking years here. It hurt. It was confusing. I can remember when I was living on my own during my separation, some of the scariest times of my life. It was awful. So, yeah, I can't put yourself in a position where you have to navigate these things on top of some sort of mental health issue. And what else might go through your head? Okay, so you like them, whoever they are. Could be a friendly conversation, but what if the friendly conversation, what if the mere idea of a friendly conversation is absolutely stifling for you? The simple concept of a friendly conversation. To hell with the fact, to hell with trying to find a partner or strike up a conversation and get a meetup for a coffee out of it or some such thing. It could be something as simple as a new friend. Right? It could be as innocuous as that. But for some, that is absolutely debilitating. Goes back to getting out of bed every fucking day, right? And hey, let's be real, some don't. Some fucking don't. And we're not casting judgment here. Not for a second. Because I'm using some strong wording here. I mean no disrespect. I just have a certain way of speaking, so yeah. So yeah, the friendly conversation. But let's parlay that into, okay, so you strike up the conversation. It goes at one point from a friendly conversation, if mentalities are matched, to a possible recurrence, right? And then I want to be around this person more scenario. There's a line in an individual's head that will question whether or not this person likes them or is just having a friendly encounter. How do you overcome that? How do you figure that out? Can we, like, I mean, fuck, there are individuals out there who are of relative sound mind who can't figure that out. So I say again, we shouldn't cast judgment on those who legit can't see. That's the word I was looking for. Cues. Social cues. It goes from hi, how are you to or something, right? Leaning in or whatever the behavior might be. I'm a fan of psychology, so you pick up a thing or two. Certain individuals won't pick up on those social cues. And if they do, they may or may not tap into what they're being told non-verbally. They could just interpret this behavior as someone who is genuinely fucking friendly. But what we're driving at here is the idea of so say you do pick up on those cues. How do you pursue that? Right? You've picked up on the fact that the individual that you're talking to from the bus stop, let's go back to that, is sticking around. Which means, in terms of human nature, they saw what they liked what they saw in you upon first approach. Stuck around. Right? Yay. Fucking payday. But the eggshells are still there. You know what I mean? So you're reserved. Now you got to get past whether or not they're still being friendly and have simply welcomed you in, or whether or not the fancying is mutual. Well, that just takes nothing but time. It would seem, right? Maybe. And hey, you know what? For all intent and purpose, let's have fun with that for a second. So you do meet this person, and the wheels get in motion, blah, 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 etc., etc. Everything is fucking gravy and cloud nine on a friend level. You're doing coffee, you're going for groceries together, this, that, anything. When do you, or can you muster the wherewithal to express your deeper thoughts? Because, they might have just regarded this as a new friend, right? They weren't looking for anybody, still aren't, possibly, you know? Fine lines, guys. Fine lines. It happens every day, right? I mean, don't read me wrong. Happens every day. Someone will express how they feel to another, and in return they get, shit. I don't see you that way. You're a nice person, but I don't see you that way. We can fold up our chair and go away, right? If we so choose. Move on, right? Go to the next bus stop, so to speak. But if you take that step, as one of the individuals that I'm referring to, This can abso-fucking-lutely kill you. Not literally. Come on now. That is shattering. Oh, fuck. I had all the strength in the world. And now I'm nothing. Ground zero. Point blank. The fuck. So yeah, the idea of skating the line between a new friend and a possible new partner. Or and that too. If this new acquaintance turns out, well, yeah, if you know, the new friend thing is fine, and however long that goes on for. But if you, you know, the moment will come when you decide to take the plunge, tell them how you feel. It could be a moment in time where they haven't brought up who they're with, if they're with someone. That too could be crushing. You know what I mean? But you have to have, and where do you get the strength to boing bounce back from that? You gotta reel it back in somehow, and go right back to the starting line. Now, I will pose the idea that oh, I lost my train of thought. Damn. Oh, what was I saying? I don't know. Here. In the background, you've been hearing Dave Day. I'll be back in a second. That's what it was. What I was going to mention was the fact that, yes, everything I've just described does exist and can take the absolute hell out of an individual's life who experiences these things. Now, like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. There are tools to deal with these sorts of ideas, and help you navigate certain things that you wish to accomplish, right? Meaning that there is no cure. There's no fucking cure. But there are systems in place that can at least help us navigate, can't they? All we can hope for is a better day today. Not a better day today, I mean a better day today. Like I said at the top, I didn't know how long I was going to be here for. I just wanted to get some stuff off my chest about this, because I think it's really fascinating. I'm surprisingly awake, because I worked last night and it's been a hell of a day. Yeah. I guess I'll take off for now. Even though there is a carnival of avenues I could go down on this, I personally have run dry on them. I just wanted to exercise a few points of interest for this, guys. Like I said, I'm not out to cure anybody. I'm not out to offer advice. I'm just providing information. That's all I'm doing here, guys. And if you have made it this far in the recording, don't throw me under the bus. All I'm doing is waxing here, right? That's all I'm doing. Just having a chat. I'll be back tomorrow and Sunday. I'm off all weekend. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever is going on in that pretty little noggin of yours, you are my sister, you are my brother. And we have our predecessors who have fought the fight and allowed us to be here today in 2022 living our true lives because they fucking couldn't. They got pushed back, so they pushed back. In simple fucking terms. But I'm out of here for now, guys. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you soon, everyone. Thanks for being here.